Welcome. Today I'm going to cover 6 of the 12 poses for osteoporosis that Dr. Loren Fishman has created and offered. I'm going to go over 6 poses and offer variations for if you have osteoporosis, osteopenia, which is the precursor to osteoporosis, and sort of the classical view. You will need 2 to 3 blankets, a strap, and a chair. If you have a wall, it's helpful, but not necessary. For the purposes of going over these poses, the first couple I'm going to do kind of as a sequence, so just for ease of movement. But this isn't intended to be a class. I'm going to go through the poses relatively quickly. We'll hold them for a couple of breaths. So this is much more instructional. So let's begin. Sitting on the chair, we're going to do 2 poses in the chair. And now these are the variations for osteoporosis. So I am turning so that this is my left leg, is right up against the edge of the chair. So the knee has support and my right leg is back. Now, depending on your hip mobility and inner thigh flexibility, you could bring your leg out to the side a little bit more, or rather kind of back, or you could certainly have it more out to the side in front. That does not matter. Okay, and then we'll lift the arms up. And it's your call if you want to gaze over the fingertips or look forward. Now, to add a little bit, I want you to press your feet down. So now you're feeling a little more engagement through the legs. So from here, we're going to move into the second pose for osteoporosis. This is warrior 2. The second pose is the side angle. So the forearm comes onto the thigh and the arm comes either to the ear or maybe to cactus if your shoulders are really tight. Now, something I want to really stress here, collapse. This is what we don't want, that all of your weight is on your leg. Push your feet into the floor and then lengthen through the torso so it's your side abdominals, your back muscles holding you up. And this arm on the forearm, not really doing a whole lot, except maybe pressing that left thigh back just a little bit. Let's take one more breath here. Right, let's come back up nice and strongly to a warrior 2. So nice and long through the side of the body. Now go ahead, lower your arms, relax the legs, and we're going to sit on the chair once again. Just scoot your butt back all the way. Maybe your feet touch the floor. Ideally, knees stacked over the ankles. And let's take a breath here. Okay, and then let's switch sides. So you turn to the side. Now that right foot is in front, knee over ankle. And again, the back leg, it's wherever this hip is going to be comfortable with it. Okay, and then wherever that is, you lift your arms nice and soft through the fingertips, maybe a little energetically pressing down through the feet. And then you turn your gaze wherever you're comfortable in terms of the neck. And as you breathe here, you keep trying to get long through the side of the body. We're not leaning forward. That's to come. That's in the side angle. In warrior, the torso is upright. Okay, let's move into side angle. So you lean your torso forward, the forearm lightly resting on the thigh, gently pressing it out toward the right. And the arm either comes to your ear or to cactus. Or, of course, any variation that you would like. If your shoulders have some injury, and aren't doing so great, just keep that arm down. You're still creating that long line of energy through the side. Keep pressing the feet down. Just gently move that bottom arm. Make sure you're not resting on it. Okay, and then come on up. Back to warrior 2. Keep those feet pressing just a little, and lower. And slide back onto the chair. So those were the first two poses for osteoporosis, warrior 2 and side angle for osteoporosis. Now we're going to stand up and do standing versions for the classic and osteopenia. And we're done with the chair for now. We'll come back to it. Okay. So warrior 2, left leg is your front leg, right leg is back. Now I'm removing the osteopenia variation here, and I'm just making it part of the classic. And what I would suggest is maybe do a shorter stance if you feel if you know you're in the category of osteopenia. And if you want the more classic, you can go a little longer. What I want to stress here, there's no rule that says you have to get your front thigh parallel to the floor. That is pretty intense. Okay, so now we're going to come into side angle. Forearm gently resting on the thigh. You do what you like with that top arm. Now, technically, this is the variation for osteopenia. Forearm gently on the thigh, maybe pressing that knee out to the left just a touch. Now, I would also use this as the classic pose. If you're warmed up, if you are open, you can reach for the floor without rounding or compromising your spine. But without having been warmed up, this is pretty much my pose. If I'm doing it at the end of a class, maybe with a block, I'll get to the floor, but that's not the goal. When you hold it for a little while, and if you're not using your arm, or yes, and if you're not using your arm, your legs are getting pretty heated here. Let's come on up, warrior 2. Lower the arms, straighten that knee, parallel your feet. All right, let's switch. Turn the other foot. Let me move those blankets. Okay. So again, if you're more osteopenia, or you just know that your leg muscles are a little weaker, shorten your stance. But when that happens, keep your knee over your ankle. Don't bend your knee more. Knee over ankle. Okay? And arms up. And it's up to you if you want to look toward the long edge of your mat or toward the short edge over your fingertips. Either way you do it, you're not leaning forward, torso is upright, and you're trying to create length through the waist. Okay, and then we're going to move into side angle, forearm gently resting on the thigh, top arm wherever you like it, and you create this nice line of energy reaching the pinky toe side of the foot down into the floor and the fingertips up. And then again, if you know you have the capacity to reach the floor without rounding in this way, then you do that. If not, you stay upright. The fact that your feet are pressing into the floor, you're staying here for a fair amount of time. You're strengthening the muscles, which will strengthen your bones, which is what we want for osteopenia and osteoporosis. Okay, on your inhale, come on up. Pause. Let's challenge those leg muscles. And then lower the arms, straighten the knee, parallel the feet. And walk it in. Okay. The third pose, shake it out. Third pose for osteoporosis is tree pose. Okay, so chair. Now have your chair so that you're standing straight ahead and your foot comes out to the side. Now I feel like pretty high. It's pretty aggressive for osteoporosis. So you could put your foot on a block as well, if just the idea of coming up here is really high. But either way, we're focusing on the standing leg. Your weight is in your heel. You plug your big toe mound and the pinky toe mound. And your arms can rest at your sides, at your heart. You can come up to cactus, whatever you like. But the focus, standing heel, plugging the big toe mound and the big and pinky toe mounds. Take one more breath here. Okay, and then slide that foot off. Okay, and let's switch sides. So standing straight ahead. You know, you use the wall, you use the chair to help you with balance to actually pick your foot up. And then ideally, you're not kind of leaning to one side or another. You've got some nice right angles here. And then weight in the heel, pinky toe mound, and big toe mound. And it's kind of like an additional side angle. You get this nice stretch for the inner thigh. So while this is, you know, technically the pose for osteoporosis or the variation for osteoporosis, this is still a great thing to do if you don't have osteoporosis. I feel a very nice, gentle, accessible stretch through the inner thigh. All right, and let's come on down. Chair off to the side once again. So the variation for osteopenia and the classic are very similar. So one variation, your foot is here, and the other, it's like really high up. To me, that's the same thing. So if this is way too much, having your leg up here, have your leg just against the calf. But now what's important here is that you're squeezing your legs together. So you're pushing your foot into your calf and you're attempting to push that calf and that leg into the foot. Because when you lift the leg off of the floor, you're stimulating the standing leg muscles and then bones all the way up the leg. And as soon as you, pardon me, as soon as you put that foot on the floor, you lose that stimulation and that bone building quality. Okay. So this is a lower variation. And then what you don't want is putting the foot on the knee, because to help you balance, you have to push your legs together. We do not want pressure on the knee. So it either the foot has to be below or well above. And especially if you're someone who gets that foot above the knee, you have to push a lot so that the foot doesn't slip. You cannot blame your yoga pants. There's a little notch the heel can fit into, and it's a lot of pressure from left and right to keep that leg there. Weight in the heel and the big and pinky toe mound. Okay. And then whenever you're coming out of a balance, try to come out with a little bit of grace, a little bit of control. Right. And let's do the other side. We'll do the low first. So putting the foot just above that ankle bone, energetically push your legs together. And again, arms are wherever you'd like them to be. And if you'd like to try for the higher variation, get that foot in a little notch of the inner thigh and squeeze a lot. Try to keep your weight in your heel. Every time you balance, your weight wants to come forward to your toes. You have to continue to remind yourself to back it up. Okay. And do your best to slide out with intention and control. Stand with your weight in your heels, plugging the toe mounds. All right. And bend and straighten, just shake it out. So we're coming onto the floor for a back bend. So whenever I do something like this, I put a blanket for the hip bones and the pubic bone. Okay. So the first variation is cobra, and this is for those with osteoporosis or osteopenia. it's the more accessible of the two poses. So hands are at the outside of your chest. So you've already made yourself into a pretty big back bend here. Head faces the floor. Now, the biggest thing is that you want to look up. So your head is like this. Now, if you look at me, does that look like my spine is in a good place of alignment? No. You want a nice long neck and you want to keep your head just like that. So when you lift, it's as if you're lifting from the back of your heart, not your head, and come down. Now, let's do a couple different kinds of this or variations. So when you lift, don't actually use your hands. Inhale, lift with just your back muscles. So you're not going to go very high. And then pick up your hands to ensure that you're only using your back. And go ahead and come down. Do that a couple of times. Get used to that. Inhale, you lift with just your back. And exhale, you lower. I do this a lot of times in classes, at least initially, because I want people to understand the difference between using their back muscles and using their arms. As soon as you bring your arms into the mix, now just go ahead and do that. This is what you want to do, but your back is not engaged at all. So let's inhale to the baby cobra. Only use your hand or only use your arms. Stay there for the exhale. Put your hands back down. Keep your back engaged. On your next inhale, keep lifting with your back. Then use your hands like 20%. So you're not going to come up all the way. Go ahead and come back down. Do that again. Inhale, lift with just your back. Stay there for the exhale. Now, keep engaging the back. Use the hands and arms slightly. Okay. Come on down. Now, the last thing I want you to play with, I like my legs a little more open here. Try it with the legs together. To me, that's it jams my low back a little bit more. So if you don't have any issues with your low back, might be a nice place for you to be. If you do have issues with the low back, the legs open a little bit more. It's just nicer. Okay, let's go one more time through together. Inhale, baby. Stay there for the exhale. Inhale, use the arms a little bit. And exhale and lower. All right. Hands out in front, rest your forehead, and rock out the hips. Okay, so now, if you know you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, I would suggest not doing locust pose. That's where we're moving for the classic back bend of these 6 poses. But it's completely up to you. Okay, so locust, your arms are alongside of you. That's the variation we're going to do. And then on your inhale, you lift up your legs, you lift up your chest. And again, remember, you're not leading with your chin. Chin is slightly tucked and everything lifts up. And then come on down. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, lift. Chin stays tucked. Exhale, release. Or if you're still doing the cobra, do the baby and then the higher. Okay. And come on down. And shake it out. Okay. Since we are already on the floor, I'm gonna switch to this. Again, just for sort of an ease of movement, grab your strap. We are gonna do a hamstring stretch, reclined hand to big toe. And this is more for the classical pose and for osteopenia. Strap is on the right foot, balls of the foot, so you have support, bony support. And then slide your arms down so that your upper arms are into the floor. And the reason I say that is when you reach up, your shoulders and back are technically rounded when you're reaching high in this position. So slide the hands down the strap. Now, the other thing we tend to do in this pose is to try to get that leg as close to the body as we can. Go ahead and do that now. Not if you have osteoporosis, though. What happens here is now you're rounding your low back. So I want you to push and try to connect your sitting bone to the floor. That is going to move your leg way away from you. Now, your sitting bone isn't going to actually touch the floor, but it's moving in that direction. So now if you put one of your hands under your back, you likely have your low back curve established. This is the pose you want, or this is the shape you're looking for. Your neutral low back curve, your leg is pushing away from you, which allows you to straighten it. When we, and don't do this, you can just listen or watch me. When we bring the leg close into the body like this, the knee bends. And technically, when your knee is bent, you're engaging your hamstrings. We're not trying to engage the hamstrings right now. We're trying to stretch them. So you push the leg away, you anchor the sacrum and the sitting bone toward the floor, and you stretch, keeping your low back curve established. You're not flattening. Take one more breath here. Okay, remove the strap, lower the leg down. And before going to the other side, it's always wonderful to feel, even with this only 45 seconds of the stretch of the right leg, feeling that difference compared to the left. Of course, when I do this in a class, we are holding it for much longer. So the difference is even more significant. Okay, so let's get the strap in the left foot. Now you know the different actions you want. Slide your hands down the strap so your upper arms are connected to the floor. Push the leg away so that you're working to anchor that sitting bone down. And then you feel your low back curve or your low back off of the floor. Now, when you do stretch like this, you want to be aware of the sensation behind the knee. We're trying to stretch the hamstrings, the middle of your leg. If your primary stretch is right behind your knee or right up at the top of the sitting bone, then yes, you do want to bend your knee. That's going to protect the tendon where the hamstrings begin and end. But right now, I know I'm feeling it in the middle of the leg, so I can keep my leg straight, and that feels safe for me. Of course, you have to make these determinations for yourself. Let's take one more breath. Right? And then lower the leg down. Shake it out. Right. Bend your knees. Roll to your side. Keep hold of that strap. We're going to do the osteoporotic version. Press up. Take your time. We're coming up to standing. Let's move this blanket. We're grabbing that chair. I'm going to do it from the side version, or from the side, so that will be easier to see. So when you sit in the chair, you want to scoot your butt all the way back. If you sit like this, you're already got a rounding in your low back. And as soon as you try to stretch your leg, you're going to round it even more. So butt all the way back in that chair so your pelvis is slightly forward. And then you get this strap on the balls of the right foot. And remember to slide your arms back. So this is a nicer way to see it. So your arms are more in line with the back of your body. Remember, when you were on the floor and you this is how people kind of want to stretch when they're on their backs, right? This is not the alignment that we want for the upper back. This is what we want. And then you just pull back on the strap. So the leg doesn't have to be way up in the air. This might target the calf muscles a little bit more as well. Again, pay attention to the sensation just behind the knee. If it's too much, bend it, lower the leg a little, make those adjustments. Okay, and release. And switch sides. Slide the hands back. Most of us are so tight in the hamstrings, we don't need to force on the strap and pull up and back too much. Just the motion of working on straightening that leg is enough of a stretch. And I think something that's important to remember is when we're stretching, we don't need the most intense sensation, the biggest stretch to come to your edge. A gentle stretch is effective. Take one more breath here. And remove the strap and pause. Okay. We are done with the strap. Scoot forward. We're going to stand up with some control. You want to scoot your butt forward. You're going to lean forward a little bit. You're going to squeeze your legs together so you feel your buttocks, your hamstrings engaging. Scoot forward a little bit more. I want you to stand up without a big push down, maybe without using your hands, but of course that's depending on your ability and how safe you feel. So squeeze the legs together, big chair pose here, and lift. Okay, we're done with the chair. Let me consult my notes. I think our final pose is a twist and then Shavasana. Okay. Oh, we totally need the chair for the twist, was I thinking. Okay, so now this is helpful if you have a wall. If you don't have a wall, it's fine. So this time you're going to stand facing the chair. We're going to put the right foot on the chair. Okay, now inhale, upright, center. On your exhale, you twist toward your right leg. If you have the wall, toward the wall as well. I'm going to get just a little closer. So in Dr. Loren Fishman's example, he has his hands on the wall. And you can look at the wall as well. If you don't have a wall, you're just pretend there's one there. You're not really using the wall to propel you and push you into the twist that much. So it's okay if you don't have it. What you want to be doing is using your abdominals and your back muscles to stay engaged, to push you, revolve you into the twist. The wall is just here for extra support, not force. Take one more breath. All right, and come on out. Step down with control. And we'll go to the other side. So now left foot's on the chair. Stand with the weight in the heel and the big toe mound. Right? Big breath in. And then exhale, twist to the left toward your bent knee. Maybe the hands come to the wall. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, engage the abdomen and twist. Okay. And come on out. And with intention, connect your foot to the floor. All right. Now we're done with the chair. We're going to come to a seated twist. So I want you to sit on at least one of your blankets. However, so we're going to be kind of sitting like this. If you are in this rounded position, sit on 2 or 3 more blankets. And if you're still rounded, you don't want to twist really when you're in this rounded position. It's not, you're putting too much pressure on the back of the spine there. So if this is happening, I suggest you do the twist in the chair. Whether standing or seated, you can do it seated in the chair, but the floor, it's creating too much and it's compromising the integrity of your spine. Okay, so let's switch. So I'm twisting toward you. So let's have the right leg straight and the left knee bent. Okay, and then you're going to bring your left hand behind you. Right hand is on the outer knee. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, you're twisting to the left. Now, a couple of things here. I'm combining the osteoporotic and the classic version, because the classic version, they have you doing a huge bind here of connecting the 2 hands. And I can't do that. I think most of us can't do that. So I think this is the healthy version of the twist. Now, a couple of things. I want you to lean back a little bit more. This will help you to get a little bit of a longer neutral spine. And then if you have the ability in your shoulder, you could bring your arm on the, like all the way down, the forearm on the inner thigh, on the outer thigh, excuse me. But I know that's a lot for people, so just the hand. You could also do, you've seen this, the elbow. Take one more breath here. Okay. Inhale, come back to center, pause here. And straighten the legs, shake it out. Now, you can just bend the right knee. I'm going to turn around so I'm not twisting away from you. But right knee is bent, left leg is straight, and sitting up tall. Now, bring the right hand behind you, which now you can lean. When I say lean back, your torso is still neutral. You're not rounding. Still nice and tall. You're just giving space for the front of the spine and the belly. And then left hand on the outer right knee. Take a big breath in. And exhale and twist. And again, you're using your abdominals to twist the hand a little, but you're mostly using the trunk of your body to bring you into this twist. And then again, you can, if you've got the range of motion in your shoulder, your left shoulder, you can bring your forearm down the thigh. You can bring the elbow to the outer knee. Take one more breath here. And on your inhale, come on out. Straighten the legs, shake it out. Okay. So Shavasana is one of the 12 poses for osteoporosis. And I don't believe he actually gives variations for this. So we're going to not just lay flat on the mat, because that doesn't feel good for my low back. And it seems like for someone who might have osteoporosis or osteopenia, you're going to want a little more support as well. So that's what the 3 blankets are for. Okay, so one of the blankets you've got in a rectangle, and then you're going to fold it in half. Actually, you're folding it almost in half. So you can see all of these open edges, they're almost down. They're not quite. So that is supporting your head and neck. And I'll explain that in a little bit once we get there. So now these 2 blankets, you have choices. One can be used to cover yourself up, or you double roll them for added support underneath your knees. So the first one, you're just going to roll it up. So that is for underneath your knees. But for me, that is nowhere near enough for me to really be comfortable. So I'm going to put that roll in this blanket and I'm going to roll it up again. So you're kind of making a bolster, or, you could just use a pillow from your couch too. So this is what I'm going to have underneath. Okay. And then you lay back. Now, for the purposes of this class, or this, I guess this is the class, I'm not going over having an eye pillow and any other comfort. This is a pretty basic Shavasana. But if you have other things that you like, by all means, grab those. For the head and neck, I want this blanket, the bottom edge, it's like right underneath the shoulders. And then all those open edges are right at where you can feel the base of your neck, that vertebra that sticks out. Right now, you're taking one layer and rolling it down toward the floor so you can feel it supporting and nesting your ears. And then you take a second layer and you fold it down again. So you've got this really nice nest. Now, I need a little extra support for my low back, and I've found this helps people. Bend your knees and lift your hips just a little, and you're sliding your buttocks down towards your heels. And that, in essence, in that moment, it flattens your low back, but as soon as you straighten your legs, you get your natural low back curve. I like resting my hands on my belly. If you like your arms open, certainly do that, but rest on the pinky side of the hand, or rest on the pinkies. That is, it offers less pressure for your inner elbow. And then we allow the body to be supported by these few props. And as that support sinks in, we feel ourselves also sinking into them. We can release our effort. And we feel weighted down. And as you notice your body releasing its effort, the breath flows very smoothly and freely. And you begin to experience a sense of peace in your mind. And everything starts to slow down. And in that slowed down pace, you rest, you recover and repair from the work. And we'll take a couple of minutes here in silence. Shavasana. Please bring awareness back into your breath. And as you fill yourself up, you can feel your body and your breath and your mind turning away from that heaviness, becoming light once again. And then start to move, stretch. And one at a time, bend your knees and make your way onto your side. And then press yourself up to a seated position. And take that roll that you were just, that was just underneath your knees. You can elevate your hips on that. And just place your left hand over your heart. Grateful for the time that you've spent to learn about your body, to move, to breathe, and hopefully to feel more even, more at ease, and more comfortable. Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed these poses. The next 6, or rather the next 5, plus another Shavasana will be coming soon. Thank you for your practice.